But we have some breaking news coming in. Efforts are underway to quickly resolve the problem with Indigo Airlines flight operations. A major meeting will be held today between the airline operator and the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, known as DGCA. Senior Indigo officials will be meeting with DGCA officials. The entire situation will be reviewed in this meeting that should commence shortly. Indigo officials will provide detailed information to the regulatory body about the entire situation. The DGCA has asked the airline why flight delays and cancellations are occurring and what plans are in place to resolve them. Tanushka is joining us live on this big breaking story at the top of 12. Tanushka, that big meeting expected to commence any time now. DGCA going to ask Indigo officials and representatives some very tough questions.
Precisely, yes. We're looking forward to this DGCA meeting wherein the DGCA has summoned the Indigo officials to, come about to their office, and this meeting is going to commence anytime soon. At this point, we do know that the Ministry of Civil Aviation has also sought information from Indigo with respect to this entire meltdown in the skies that Indigo has had. We do know now, what do we expect from this meeting? The DGCA is anyway, questioning Indigo at this point with respect to the entire cancellations. They want to understand and seek answers from Indigo that why was this widespread disruption caused, especially when a 2-year window was given already with respect to the flight duty time limitation norms. So 2-year window was given before these FDTL norms were implemented, which means all airlines had some sort of time to adjust and recalibrate their own cabin crew, staff, pilot staff, their roster system, their flight operations. This 2-year window was given for exactly this. Then why is it so that at this point, Indigo is saying that this widespread disruption and cancellations is happening because an acute shortage in cabin crew staff and pilots not turning up because of the new FDTL norms? Remember, the FDTL norms are made to reduce fatigue on the pilots and to ensure all-around safety as well, which means that essentially the flying hours have been reduced now to take into account pilots' mental health as well.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you once that meeting commences, but that is an all-important meet that we're going to keep our eyes on, and we will be keeping our ears to the ground as well. But telling you more about this massive disruption in India's skies as Indigo faces a full-blown meltdown. And the latest, Indigo officials have been called for that meeting that we've just told you about as the nation's busiest airports, Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad. You can see long queues, overcrowded terminals, and complete confusion. In those visuals on your screen, you can see the passengers questioning the Indigo officials, extremely angry. Few answers coming from them at this point. At least 70 flights cancelled in Delhi, including arrivals and departures. Meanwhile, around 55 Indigo flights taking off from Delhi or landing in Mumbai have been cancelled. Hyderabad airport also saw 70 flights cancelled, including arrivals and departures. Visuals from the Hyderabad airport emerge with passengers visibly distressed. Indigo's mega footprint includes 2,200 daily flights, 400 plus aircraft serving 130 destinations, highlights just how big really the disruption could be. This is, remember, India's largest airline. Now, like I said, 2,200 flights daily, acknowledged that its operations, Indigo is acknowledging, was significantly disrupted and sincerely apologized to its customers. A multitude of unforeseen operational challenges, including minor technical glitches, is what they're blaming it on. The statement goes on to say schedule changes linked to the winter season, adverse weather conditions, increased congestion in the aviation system, and the implementation of updated crew rostering rules. They're, of course, alluding to the flight duty time limitations, and had a negative compounding impact on our operations in a way that was not feasible to be anticipated. Then it goes on to say, to contain the disruption and restore stability, we have initiated calibrated adjustments to our schedules. These measures will remain in place for the next 48 hours and will allow us to normalize our operations and progressively recover our punctuality across the network. That is the full statement, viewers, from Indigo. All right, I have aviation expert Sanjay Lazar joining me live. Also Captain Sam Thomas, President Pilot Association with me. Also our reporters on the ground joining us live at this point. But let me go first to Captain Sam Thomas. Thank you for joining me here, Captain, on Breaking Ground. What would you attribute, sir, as the biggest reason for the chaos we're not seeing at one or two airports, but airports across India at this point?
Ma'am, good afternoon. First of all, the misinformation, the lack of communication from the Indigo staff, and the general perception that this has happened because of the new flight duty time limitations. Nothing can be farther from the truth, because the airlines were informed well in advance. They had 2 years to comply. This is a drama enacted by these airlines from time to time. Anytime they don't get a ruling in their favor, they disrupt in a calibrated manner the schedules, and thereby causing public inconvenience, which helps them put pressure on the regulator as well as the ministry to get whatever they want in their favor.
Right.
We as Airline Pilots Association of India would like to point out the fact that these FDTL is for all airlines. How come Air India, Spice and the rest of the airlines are working fine? How come it's just Indigo? Now, the other reason given is brought out by the pilots, which said that passenger inconvenience, which is such a big bogey that is put out by the media as well as the authorities, which says that if you cause passenger inconvenience, it's such a harsh thing that the pilots have to serve a notice of 1 year. Now that the airlines themselves have caused this large public inconvenience, how about taking some action against the officials, the accountable managers, everything including arrest of the people in charge?
All right.
So this is what we have to submit as far as Alpha India is concerned.
Captain, do stay with me. I'll also go to Mr. Lazar and our reporters. But before that, what's really leading to this chaos? Let's tell our viewers more about that. Well, the immediate causes span crew shortages, new duty time rules, technical breakdowns at key airports, and heavy congestion during peak winter operations. Let's take it one by one. Let's talk about crew shortage after new duty norms. Now, acute crew shortage is one of the reasons that has also been assigned to this issue here, and that is something that we're going to discuss also in detail. But it's also the FDTL that we need to talk about, because that's the new rules that's come into force, and that is the other reason that is causing the chaos here. If you could move to the next page of what's causing the chaos here, we could tell you more about that as well. Right, so it's the new roster rules that mandate more rest hours, which is more pilot friendly at this point, because of which you have, according to Indigo, also some issues. These are the immediate causes that we're talking about. So that's the second cause. The third cause, obviously, is technical glitches at major airports as well. On Tuesday, airports including Delhi and Pune reported failures in their check-in and departure control systems, creating long queues and delaying departures across multiple Indigo rotations. The delays accumulated rapidly throughout the day, upsetting the tightly connected chain of aircraft and crew movement. And then airport congestion and winter traffic is also another reason. High passenger volumes, winter fog related stress on operations, and peak hour congestion at major metro airports further weighed down Indigo's ability to recover lost time. So those are the big reasons that could be the reasons why we're seeing the chaos there. But let's go to Sanjay Lazar as well. Mr. Lazar, at this point, a good question raised by Captain there as well, and I want your perspective on it. Why is it that there's chaos only around Indigo Airlines at this time and not any other airline? The same issues apply to all of them, don't they? Mr. Lazar, we can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Thank you, Vedika, for having me on board.
Go ahead.
And I fully prescribe to what Captain Sam Thomas says. This is a bogey being created. Actually, I went through what the reasons that you spoke of. And the first and foremost, like Captain Thomas says, all airlines have had a 2-year head start and information about the new FDTL rules. Also, the FDTL rules are not more pilot friendly. They are meant to mitigate fatigue. They are more passenger safety friendly. And imagine airlines were in the court asking delays. They first asked for a 1 year delay, then a 6 month delay. Finally, this has come. Please look back and see how when Indigo stopped recruitment of pilots 6-7 months ago. Why did they increase their flights from summer to winter? They have increased it by 900 flights. Nobody is talking about that. How did the DGCA permit that? Now we talk of systemic glitches. I'm reading the DGCA statement, which says till yesterday, 1232 flights were cancelled. 755 cancellations were linked to crew FDTL constraints. That is 61% of their cancellations. 350 more flight cancellations due to ATC or airport reasons. And lastly, last 100 flights due to technical glitch. Now, if 61% of your flights are due to FTTL and other constraints, it means you were not prepared for your winter schedule. Then why then did you go and ask for a 9% increase in flights over summer, which you managed well, and then you've taken it up to 15,014 flights this winter? Clearly, the DGCA must look back, roll back their schedule, and then start looking at whether they have the numbers. Every airline, and like Captain Thomas pointed out, every other airline does a dry run before a schedule is prepared. You do it on your roster, you run it on your rostering system. I've been in operations as well, and I understand this, and we check.
All right.
You also have a buffer. And the
Mr.
other
Lazar,
thing is
I'm going to come back to you in a moment because my correspondents are also standing by. They're outside airports that have been impacted. We have Uma Sudhir joining me live. I have Tejsri as well as Vishwas. Now I'm going to go to Uma first. Uma, you're outside the Hyderabad airport, I believe. Just tell us what's been happening there. Okay, we seem to have lost Uma there. Vishwas, the same question to you. Tell us what's happening outside the airport. Massive chaos for day 3?
Yeah, of course, you can see the massive chaos at Jaipur airport since morning. People are here. They are questioning to the, Indigo personnel that what is the status of our flights, and many flights got cancelled yesterday, and almost 4 flights have cancelled yet, and 11 are delayed, and people are here waiting since morning, since yesterday for their flights. You can see this massive chaos. They are, arguing with the personnel. They want the answer, but they are not getting any kind of, satisfactory statement from the personnel of Indigo, from the employees of Indigo. And you can see I have a passenger with me, and he had the flight to Bengaluru yesterday when your flight was scheduled, and now what the status?
See, yesterday we had a flight at 5:35 to Bangalore from Jaipur, okay? And then we came here around 12:30. That's when there was no update online. There was no other update. It was just updated on the airport that the flight is cancelled. On the screen. Yeah, on the screen. So we came here to talk with those people, and there they have no answers. We asked them why the flight was cancelled, what was the problem. She had no answer for that. We asked for a solution. The only solution that she gave us was you wait for another 12, 13 hours, 11 hours in the airport. We'll give you a flight to Delhi. You go there, wait for another 6 hours, and then we'll give you a flight to Bangalore. So the whole day, he has to go office, my dad has to go office. I was traveling with my mom also, it was 4 of us. So the whole day we are supposed to sit here and wait.
What is the schedule for today?
Today, we had no other option. We booked a room nearby. We went there.
Clearly you can see miscommunication is also the problem, which creating a more chaos. You can see because the Indigo airline, the staff is not communicating well to the passengers that what is the status for their flights, and when they come to the airport, then they got to know that their flight is cancelled, their flight is rescheduled. Yes, you were saying something.
Yeah. So initially they told that they have the other flight booked, but then when we said we are okay with it, suddenly they were like there are no seats available.
All right, so viewers, you can hear the agony, the angst, the anger when it comes to these passengers because there's no information also trickling down to them. Captain Sam Thomas, you were talking about the new roster rules, and we were also discussing how they're also passenger friendly. Could you tell us more about these rules, how it also relaxes the pilot hours by a bit for our viewers to understand what they're all about? And it's interesting because it's not just for Indigo Airlines, it's for all the airlines across the spectrum.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, to call it pilot friendly would not be entirely accurate.
I said passenger friendly, sir. That's what Mr. Lazar had said.
Yeah, okay. Now, I don't know how this is going to be passenger friendly, but be that as it may. Now, the rostering rules that we had earlier were very regressive in nature and were not based on scientific principles. Now, the progressive countries in the world have implemented something called a fatigue risk management system. Based on that, a detailed study is done on how fatigue can affect a normal person, more so a pilot who's doing a very critical job, and most importantly, a mistake that can happen due to fatigue can cost not only his own life but also the life of all the passengers. Now, with all this done in place in phases, a new rostering system was put in place. That's the new flight duty time limitations. The airlines went crying and said, we don't have time. So the DGCA gave them some time. Then they further went back and said, we're still not up to the mark. So then the DGCA said after a year, so let's implement this in phases. Now, phase 1 was implemented, and then now came phase 2 in November. Now, for you to suddenly get up and say that I don't have pilot, particularly when the Honorable Civil Aviation Minister has said on the floor of the Parliament that we have sufficient pilots. Now, what we are missing out here is the lack of accountability. See what the ground staff have to go
Yes.
through. The passengers are going to be really violent with them. They have no information.
Absolutely.
What is the management doing? They are the low-hanging fruit, and I pity the ground staff. They have no information. They have to cook up something and let them know. What we are missing out is how blatantly the airline management thought that they can throw tantrums and get away with it. Fortunately, this time the DG, Dr. Faiz Ahmed Kidwai, is somebody who has subject matter knowledge. And that is the reason why these people are not finding it that easy to circumvent the law.
All right. And
This is the result.
Mr. Lazar, let's just talk about the DGCA meeting. What should we expect from that? Are we expecting penalties of sorts as well? Because one airline, which is perhaps the biggest airline in India, Indigo Airlines, has created complete chaos. If you read their statement, they've given several reasons for why this has happened. Like you had Captain Thomas say, there's very little accountability at this point from them, be it at the level with passengers or even the levels above.
You're right, Vedika, and zero accountability is what we see. And even the statement, I'm sorry to say, was a very wishy-washy. It named
Generic
so many,
statement, yes.
And I hope that the DGCA pinpoints accountability, who is responsible, what are the causative factors that cause this entire imbroglio, and very importantly, what are the steps to rectify. I can only see, number one, roll back their schedule. They'd have to curtail their schedule and implement it. Number two, ensure, this hype about blaming pilots, some have blamed the cabin crew disappearing, and it's all incorrect because it obviously means that you're not in control of your own systems and rosters. The other thing is, passengers. And I've been a great votary for a passenger charter. India has perhaps the worst passenger charter in the world, and we need to strengthen that. We are looking at airports where lakhs of passengers are screaming out loud for want of a better, option. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
My family was coming from Bangalore. They were at the airport yesterday. They came in, reached Pune. This morning, they couldn't land because the airport was full of people, aircrafts. They diverted to Mumbai. And in Mumbai, they've spent 4 hours on the aircraft. Now they're coming by taxi. Ironically, another flight, Indigo flight from Chennai to Pune, has landed and the passenger has not been let off for 4.5 hours. So this is chaos. I mean, somebody has to, heads must roll. Like Captain Thomas said, heads must roll because something really seriously wrong here.
And obviously, even, the brand, the reputation is at question here. But Captain Thomas, coming back to you, the FDTL norms, being the president of the Pilot Association, what's the feedback you've got on this?
Well, the feedback we got is positive as far as the FDTL implementation is concerned. It's by no means comprehensive. It's way better than what we had earlier. And it's a step in the right direction. We must give the regulator also chance to figure out whether he is going in a direction which can balance both the commercial operations as well as the flight duty time limitations and the risk mitigations attached to it. Now, with the advent of the fatigue risk management system, you see, the problem that was the pilots were facing is there is a team from the airlines that are always looking and I don't feel nice talking about it, but it is one of a team that always looks to circumvent the law. Any law is given, people look for loopholes and how they can be sort of circumvented at all times. You see, there is a provision, or rather there is a move to stop pilots from joining other airlines, and also there is a provision to not give them the requisite rest, or let me give you a simple example. When the rules say that you can do 2 landings at night, it's a very critical rule. Between 2 o'clock in the morning to say 6 o'clock in the morning, you can do a maximum of 2 landings. What the airlines have been doing is make a pilot do 1 landing at 2 o'clock in the morning, then send him as a passenger to another place where he has flown through that entire sector, then make him do the other landing. So that you have complied with the law, but you have broken the complete spirit and nothing to mitigate that.
Absolutely, and I really commend you for using that phrase there, breaking the spirit. Mr. Lazar, before I let both of you go, have you ever seen something like this before? This utter chaos that we're seeing. And like Captain pointed out, this is circumventing the rules. Who will put an end to it? It's always the case that the loopholes are found and maximized. And in this case, we're seeing not only passengers being harrowed, the staff on the ground who should not be held accountable, but obviously on the direct line of fire, and of course the pilots as well.
Yes, ma'am. Vedika, I have not seen something of this extent unless, it was war or really terrible, fog-like situation in Delhi, which had, a couple of years back, which impacted flights for 3 to 5 days and more than one airline. But this is significant because it also addresses another point. This duopoly between Air India and Indigo, where they control 94% or 93% of the entire market. Indigo controls 63+%. So any problem at Indigo is going to affect the country. So that's something that we need to look at.
Right.
And the other thing is that we need to look at circumventing of rules. Rules must be followed not only in letter but in spirit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will have to leave it at that. But Captain Sam Thomas, as well as Mr. Lazar, thank you so much for bringing such deep perspective into an issue that's impacting thousands across India. But now we're going to go to the ground as well. Uma Sudhir has been standing by along with Tejsri as well as Vishwas. But Uma, coming to you first, what's the situation in Hyderabad? There's been utter chaos across the country. What's the latest you have for us?
So at least 70 flights that are either arriving or departing from here have been cancelled, and that's the reason why there is such a long queue at the Indigo counter itself, where people are trying to inquire about the delays that have happened and also the number of hours that they are spending here, when they can get out of this. I'll start with you. How long have you been here? What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Anil Matthew. I live in Pune. I had this flight at 8:50 last evening, and initially we got messages that the flight is delayed by 1 hour from 11:15 to 2:15, then 6:15, and finally after a lot of chaos they have allowed to board a flight at 7 in the morning, and again we noticed that only the hostesses were there, and the captain and the commanding the first officer was not there in the flight. We were made to sit in the aircraft for more than 3 hours. Then after a lot of hue and cry, 2 pilots came in. Again, after some time, they announced that they are not getting the ATC clearance from Hyderabad, and they're also not getting the parking bay in Pune either. So this is
so it's just getting compounded more and more.
More and more. Actually, the fact of the matter is nobody has slept. I mean, I was told that the counters of Mumbai flights, they had been waiting since yesterday 2:30 in the afternoon, and they left in the morning. I'm not sure even they have been made to sit in the aircraft, and later on they have been evacuated. I'm not very sure about it. But this is what happened. Finally, I have given up. The flight has not took off till now. Now it is 12:26. The flight is still there. They are claiming that the approval is
So you have not slept all night?
All night. Nobody has slept because the senior citizen, women with small kids, and it was more of a harrowing experience. I never in my life I have seen such a worst experience.
All right.
And from a leading airline like Indigo, which is commanding 67% market share.
Yeah, what is your story?
Yeah, madam. Actually, I'm waiting from since morning. First message I have got that Indigo flight has been delayed. Your flight is delayed for 2 hours. Now again I got a message that it is delayed more 4 hours. Actually, I got a meeting in 8 o'clock in Mumbai.
You had to miss that as well.
Yes,
So let me
yes.
just go across to one other person.
All right, we'll go back to Uma there. But Tejsri, very quickly, if you could recap for us that all-important crucial meeting with the DGCA where Indigo officials will also obviously participate, tough questions to be asked. Moreover, the question over accountability. Look at the chaos all around in the national capital and beyond.
Well, absolutely quickly summing up so as to what will be happening over here at the DGCA from where we are reporting right now. These are the visuals that we are giving you just outside the Office of Director General of Civil Aviation, wherein any time from now, the officials from the Indigo will be coming over here. Tough questions will be asked to them so as to why this is happening only with the Indigo, who is accountable about it, and the kind of manner in which the communication the Indigo is holding with the passenger, that is also quite poor. Not just that, but also what's next to the passengers whose flights are cancelled, who are stranded at the airport for more than 10 to 14 to 12, 16 hours. And why it is happening only with Indigo? What about the other lines? And should Indigo behave in such a manner at a point of time when Indigo is said to be one of the largest flight networks? Not just that, but the information about FTDL was given way before. And then why now at this point of time when the information was given way before? This is also one of the reasons cited by Indigo, that these are the reasons, the change in the timings, the reduced hours for the flight for the pilots and the cabin crew, and also another reasons that they are citing about the winter season and all other reasons that are also impacting to the delay in the flights, the cancellation in the flights. Well, this is not for the first time that we are witnessing problem with Indigo. This has been forever.
Yes.
But now let's see what happens when these meeting begin.
Absolutely, and we'll bring all the inside track details when that meeting commences. Last word with Vishwas. Vishwas, how badly is Jaipur impacted? Very quickly, just give us an update.
Yeah, of course, it has created a huge impact, huge chaos at the Jaipur airport also, because you can see I have spoken to the passengers in the morning. I have met a couple who has recently got married, and they have a reception at Nagpur, and they have to reach here. But by today they have to reach Nagpur. But due to this flight cancellations and this whole disruption, they couldn't meet the guidelines, meet their timeline, and this huge disruption is creating impact on the assignments of the passengers as well. Someone has to attend the meeting.
It's also being heavily impacted, viewers, and that's the biggest takeaway. There are questions that Indigo must answer. There has to be accountability, and there cannot be any circumvention of the rules in place. We have breaking news coming in.